Uh, Obviously, this is not the easiest of press conferences. When you come after, I think, a game like that and a performance like that, people, there's a lot of evaluation that has to be done. When you look at our game, for us, we're an offensive line-driven offense, and we just didn't have the production from those guys needed, I think, necessary to be successful. We didn't play well at wideout. And you look at some of the struggles that we had, I think it's going to come back to those two groups finding ways to make plays. But I think ultimately for us, for any team to be successful, you got to play well up front. We didn't do that. We didn't run the ball well. We didn't pass protect well. We have to do a better job at that point, and putting our guys, making sure our guys are prepared and ready to go for the next game.
How do you get better up front? Is it a matter of, do you have to change the depth chart? How do you get better up front?
For us, the biggest problem that we had during the game was just simply, guys living in their own world. If you're an offensive lineman and you put your head down and stare at the guy in front of you, there's a lot of things that can happen. There's blitzes, there's movements, and there wasn't very much communication going on in there. And then when things got hard, we got down. You didn't see people trying to help each other out in there. You saw people just trying to survive, and we're not going to be successful trying to do that. We have to keep our heads up. We have to keep our eyes up. We have to communicate. Any offense in the country, regardless of what you do, if there's a lack of communication, there's a lack of vision of what's going on with the defensive front, the defensive pressures, you're not gonna have any chance for success.
Well, acknowledging the competition was excellent. People see 5 completions over 2 games and wonder if there's anything play calling wise or personnel wise that could have been different to spark the passing game.
Yeah, I asked myself the same thing, because it's certainly not for lack of effort. I can promise you that. We're continuously researching ways, and we redid some things on third down and in some of the passing situations. But you look at it too, honestly, if we don't protect, it doesn't matter what plays we call, and we didn't do a great job of that. There was people in the backfield. We didn't identify pressures, so it's hard to get any. You look at a majority of the incompletions, they're throwaways. People trying to make sure that we salvage yardage and not take sacks. So we got to do a better job there.
Coaches, with the wide receiver struggles, have you thought of making any personnel changes? Maybe Justin Goodwin out there, or a defensive guy, anything of that nature?
We have. You start moving. If you take a look at any NFL roster, and how much are NFL running backs getting paid as comparatively to what they were to the rest of positions, 20 years ago, running backs were the premium position, and now they're not as much because you need a bunch of them. And so we take Justin Goodwin out, and he's not running the ball for us because he's out there catching routes. You're down to 1 or 2 running backs possibly. We have talked about moving him around. I think he can do some things for us. We have explored a 2-back set for us to maybe get some more production from those guys. But I think for some of the we gotta have guys that go out and make some plays for us too, and we got to do a great job, I think, as coaches, of finding ways to get those guys, help those guys get open as best we can. But I think we got to have guys that go make plays as well.
Drew, you kind of just touched on this too, but you told us when you first got here that you'd adapt the offense to the personnel, so to speak. So, not that you would change the spread to the pro style, but have you thought about, like, maybe, I don't know, huddling or some under center plays or something that these guys maybe are familiar with just because that's what they came here to do?
Yeah, to be honest with you, if you go evaluate the tape from last year, the plays that we run as compared to the plays that they run last year, you're not going to see a whole lot of difference in total scheme. Power is power, counter is counter, inside zone is inside zone. And yeah, great. Did we slow the game down? Yeah, we tried to. We slowed the game down a lot, for a number of reasons, obviously. But yeah, we have slowed the game down. We're not playing as fast as we'd like to, I think, from a philosophical standpoint, in effort to get some of that communication that we just alluded to. Because if that doesn't happen, you're not going to have it. Like I said, you're not going to have a chance to be successful on any offensive play, much less a whole series. So, yeah, we are slowing things a little bit down to help those guys get their eyes, their mind, the communication in the right place.
I'm just curious, on a personal level, you get to run your offense, and how frustrating it must be to to have this 2-week stretch just from personally as a coach.
Oh man, frustrating. I don't know if this is the right word. There's a lot of words, a lot of emotions that come up with that. I don't want to take anything away from our opponents. We've played two of the best teams. We've played three of the best teams, the top 5 teams in the country this year. It is frustrating when you don't have production. It's frustrating for me professionally. I think it's frustrating for our staff professionally. But I think for our players, I think that's the bigger factor. We come to work every day because we love ball and we love winning. We love yards and touchdowns, and all that stuff is great. But you come because I think you coach college ball and maybe not NFL football. I don't really have a deep desire to go coach in the NFL, because we like 18 to 22-year-olds and the impact that you have in those guys' lives. And when those guys are having success, you watch what the impact is on the rest of their life, their social life, their spiritual life, what's happening in their academics. Everything just is trending up and trending up and trending up. So yes, we'd like to play better, but for a number of reasons. And for me professionally, yeah, frustrated is an apropos term, probably to a deeper degree than what generally is associated with it.
Drew, not trying to give you an excuse, but I'm curious how difficult it's been to change on the fly, the last 2 games, to not have a Janarian, somebody who can line up, somebody who's explosive, kind of a wild card. How has that been, trying to adjust to his absence?
When your best player leaves, there's always a big adjustment, and I love that kid, not just because he was an incredible football player. He is, and will be again at some point. But it has been an adjustment. It's guys that have been able to be role players and have been in that, so to speak. You don't want anybody to consider themselves a role player, but so to speak, in comparison to Janarian, who lit up the scoreboard and the stat sheet, people are forced, I think, into positions to grow up fast. You look at a guy like Juwan Harris, who's now playing that position, that slot receiver, that what we call the H position. A redshirt freshman who wasn't with us in spring ball. He was playing baseball, and hey, Juwan, Janarian's out. You were playing outside receiver in a backup role. Okay, now hey, I want you to come in and be the starting slot receiver. Hey, and I need you to be really good at it. And credit to that kid. He's come along a long way. He's had to grow up. He's had to mature in ways that he wasn't expecting. And so it is hard. It is an adjustment. Everybody's got to do more. Everybody's got to ask themselves and ask of each other more. And we have to do a better job, I think, of being a cohesive unit on offense for us to be successful, and everybody can fill that role. Not that it can't be done, you know what I mean? But I think that we can't. The days of relying on Janarian, hey, just get the ball to one, he'll make it happen. That doesn't exist anymore, and he's just not there. And we love him to death, and we hope for a speedy recovery, and hopefully maybe one day we get him back. If not, I hope he has an incredible NFL career. But in the meantime, what's best for Rutgers football is we all got to grow up a little bit. We all got to mature, and we got to do things that players haven't done yet, and they need to, and for us to have success.
Drew, I'm just curious, is there any concern within the coaching staff right now in keeping the fans' interest or the perception by the fans when the offense isn't playing well like it has in the past couple of weeks?
No. To be honest with you, if we sat around and started considering third-party entities, and not that you consider the fans, you love the fans' support, but you're entertaining new factors into an equation that don't necessarily apply to your production. And I don't think that's a smart way to do business. For you guys get criticized and praised on a daily basis the same way that I do for what you write, what you support, or what you don't support. So for you guys, I know that you have a fan base or a readership that you have to attend to, but I don't think that any professional is truly weighing the concerns or weighing the opinions all the time of their fans. You're doing the best job that you can, and you're fighting every single day to put your players, who are your real constituency, okay, in the best position, the best frame of mind, and the best preparation to go out and be successful. And does it suck when you hear some of the stuff? And yeah, not real pumped about it. And believe me, I'm the first one to feel it, me personally, and, emotionally and mentally. And then you get it piled on top. Yeah, I get it. But no, I don't think that's the right thing to do. At least not in fairness to our players.
Going back to Janarian, was he able to mask some of the deficiency you have, whether it be on the offensive line or the other wide receiver positions that are now coming out now?
Yes and no. The offensive line is the offensive line. When Janarian gets the ball, the last play that he played, they put too many guys in the box, and we essentially, for all intents and purposes, threw a bubble out there to him. We were in a different, and he made a couple guys miss, broke some tackles, but that was simply that's a schematic, that's a numbers equation. He does, I think, in the past game, he did help with some of that, but in terms of the offensive line play, which hasn't been good the past 2 weeks, Janarian had nothing to do with that. You look at the way we ran the ball decent against Washington, and Janarian had a little bit to do with that because somebody's got to account for that guy, but not in terms of communication and just plain old execution, old school regular football. Appreciate you guys.